Assalamu'alaikum Warohmatullahi Wabarakatuh. Terkait dengan pemberitaan yang mengangkat perdebatan sengit antara Yenny Wahid dan Benny Wenda beberapa waktu lalu, diantara komentator yang memberikan komen berita tersebut menginginkan perdebatan ditampilkan secara utuh. Berikut ini kami tampilkan perdebatan antara Yenny Wahid dan Benny Wenda selengkapnya.
So Benny, you can hear some of the hurt in her voice there. Can you describe for us what it's like to be Papuan in Indonesia?
We 58 years we've been under suppressed by Indonesia illegal occupation. That's ambassador said that West Papua is part of the Indonesia, but not. West Papua never part of Indonesia. We've been separate. We are different geographically, culturally, linguistically. We have never been part of Indonesia. That's why they call us a monkey from the beginning. Since they illegally occupied our country, 1963, since then, a blasted beginning. 500,000 men, women has been killed up to now. So, Indonesia ambassador, he claimed that West Papua part of Indonesia. Never. West Papua never part of Indonesia. 20 years we separate. Indonesia got independent 1945. West Papua never part of Indonesia. We are called Dutch New Guinea. That's why Dutch give us independent. 1961, 62, 63, Indonesia illegally occupied. That's why that's the beginning of the massacre up to now. So Indonesia claim over West Papua is illegal. So the killing is continued, rape, torture, imprisonment. People just coming out in the street peacefully. We demand our right to self-determination denial. 1969, Indonesia and big power call act of free choice. We call act of no choice. That is why Wiranto claimed that New York Agreement 66, New York Agreement 15 of August 1962.
So Benny, remember we're bringing the international community up to date with a story that, as you have shown, goes back for many decades. Yenny, please jump in here, because what Benny is saying is that we don't even belong to Indonesia. You have no claim over us. This is the root of the issue.
Yeah, I think if you want to look at the roots of the issue of Papua, I think it's simplifying the issue is just boxing it into an issue of human rights violations. There are many structural issues that happening in Papua, and that has led to dissatisfactions and grievances that many are feeling up to this day. I think the process, the integration process, is not yet. The process is not finished yet, and there are many things that the central government of Indonesia should have done better to integrate the Papuans more into the society. But I would say
I don't understand.
that...
Yenny, I'm so sorry. You're teaching me a lot of things today as well. I don't understand what integration means in the context of Indonesia and the West Papuan region. Can you give us an example?
Yes. What Benny mentioned before about the New York Agreement that happened in 1969, basically that granted Indonesia's... Papua belongs to Indonesia, it's part of Indonesia. And it's recognized by UN resolution.
It's never part of Indonesia. You are wrong.
It is recognized by 93 countries.
1960
by UN resolution.
The referendum was only took the note. United Nations only took the note. Africa, Caribbean country rejected your claim.
There are about 30 African countries.
So here you're hearing, Yenny and Benny, this is a perfect example of why there is a dispute in Indonesia right now, because we're hearing the claim and the counterclaim here. I was just very curious if you could give me one example, and Yenny now quickly, about what you meant by integration.
Yes, since Papua became part of Indonesia, then there's a problem with building more of Papua regions. There are problems that is happening there, but it's not just because of the way Jakarta mishandles the issue there, but it's also due to an issue of development, an issue of lack of transparency, issue of not very good governance there in Papua, which is actually done by the Papuan themselves. So it's a very complex issue, and Papua is actually has a special autonomy granted to them, which is not enjoyed by other provinces in Indonesia. Basically, the special autonomy grants Papuans greater privileges. For example, only Papuans can run for office in Papua, but also that they can also run for office in other provinces in Indonesia, even for the highest position in Indonesia. For example, if they want to run for president.
How many people you've been killed? Amnesty International last year, they published almost half of the 1,000 been killed under the special autonomy. What are you talking about that? Is you killing more than now?
Benny, can I just say
asking development?
Can I just say that there is a problem of violence? There is a cycle of violence that's happening in Papua, but
your government are corrupted.
So Yenny and Benny, I'm just going to ask you for a pause for a moment. Yenny and Benny, I'm going to ask you for a pause for a moment. Victor, I hear you. Just hold tight for a second. Malika, where do you want to take us now?
Oh, Victor, I see you trying to get in there, and I want to bring you in via a couple of comments here, because there are voices that people online are telling us that we're not hearing, and that is because the Indonesian government enacted a shutdown of data, for the most part, internet data, and so it's been hard to get those voices out. This is what one person on Twitter says. He says, this means that we aren't able to verify facts. It means there was the chance of more fake news getting out of hand. Indonesia handled this all wrong, all because they were desperate for control. So that's one person's perspective. But then news broke just today. This from Stephen, who says Indonesia has partially lifted an internet blackout. So we can see that there. And this, of course, was on data. That's what's being reported. But Victor, you are a journalist based there in the West Papua region. Talk to us about what people there felt and what voices we're not hearing because of this blackout.
Yeah, I want to talk about when Yenny talk about the special autonomy law in West Papua. It's a part of the internet blackout is a part of the misunderstanding of the special autonomy law. I mean, why the Indonesian government shut down the internet in West Papua? We should have a same treatment by Indonesian government. Suara Papua, but it's very hard.
Okay.
To be honest, I should think it's very,
not easy
very hard
to be a journalist.
West Papua.
Okay.
Not only to be a journalist, but also to work for a news.
Let me just move on a little bit. I want to show our audience Benny's Twitter page and the Twitter profile. He calls himself a West Papua independence leader. This is really important in the context of this conversation, because after this violence, the complaints about discrimination, Benny, you've been asking and been pushing for independence of West Papua region for a very long time. Does this latest series of protests, does that mean that you're closer to independence than ever before?
I'm confident that this is the time to, it's changed now, because, world is finding out, world in watching what happening in West Papua, because the last 50 years, Indonesia banned journalists, Amnesty International, Red Cross, International Peace Brigade. So that's why now world is finding out, because Indonesia stigmatized my people as monkey. I think that sentiment collectively come out peacefully last 2 weeks. Then what happened? Indonesia started shooting the 6 people were killed by Indonesian military and police. That is what happening. There is also the militia group created by Wiranto himself, because Wiranto was in East Timor. He's a war crime wanted by United Nations. Now he's personal attacking me and him and this general. So we talk about the situation in West Papua. Bring the peace. Only to bring the peace.
Yenny, is the feeling in Indonesia for an appetite for a referendum? Would you say there is one?
First of all, I can feel Benny's talked about the racial slur, and I think this is a pain that's not only felt by the Papuans, but the whole Indonesians. I mean, there's so many supports and sympathy expressed towards the Papuans, you know.
No, I'm sorry.
But
it's a sympathy belief, yeah?
Sorry?
Allow Yenny to finish her sentence. Just allow her to finish her thought, and then you can interject.
Right.
Yenny, finish your thought.
Okay. So, but diverse ethnic groups doesn't mean that they cannot live in harmony. It's just what we need is a political process. So, I mean, take the United States, for example. We've got diverse groups of people from different ethnicities and backgrounds that can coexist peacefully. And I think this is the approach that we need to push for. More dialogue, more listening to one another, and actually a common ground, you know. And I think the common ground for us, for me and Benny, is actually that we both want the best for the Papuans. We want prosperity for the Papuans. We want, a democracy for Papuans. And I think the way to do that is to listen to one another. And for me,
the problem is you illegally occupied our country. That's you start killing us. That's why you are your government calling us monkey. You cannot justify that the democracy. No. When you start calling us
not just happened. It's not just being perpetrated. Unfortunately, the killing is not just perpetrated by the Indonesian government.
But also, never happened.
We're trying to hear both of you. Let me just give a pause in the conversation so Malika can get in there. Malika, go ahead.
So I hear both of your perspectives. I wanted to bring this in. This is from Twitter. Elder says if Indonesia allowed Papuans to vote on their freedom, it could...